9:10, 9:15. I'll try to get right to the point.
It's amazing when you start, there's so much that comes out. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I'll get to the verses, but I'd actually like to start just with kind of a big idea in terms of the 6 perfections. And so I'm imagining that this is going to be kind of full circle, this talk.
No, the flowers are right in your face. Perfect.
Okay, so the verses that I chose are from the 4th perfection. So what we're studying is the 6 perfections. Master Shanti Deva's 6 perfections are part of this book, and they are, we went over, some of you were here Saturday. The first perfection is giving, and the second is ethics, the third is patience, and the 4th is joyful effort. 5th, anybody? Meditative contemplation, and the 6th? Wisdom. And so the verses I chose are all part of joyful effort. And I'll get into what that is, but what's interesting to me is I've been listening to talks by Geshe Michael and Venerable Punsak and thinking about this. The joyful effort is really the key to all the 6 perfections, is the way that Venerable Lama Geshe Michael Lama Geshe Venerable that in order to, I'm actually going to jump right to it. The Buddha body, we were talking about the Buddha, right? In order to get beyond this human body that we're in, that is suffering, I mean, we get sick, we're getting older. To get beyond this to the Buddha body, that's dependent on the first 3 perfections. And the 4th perfection, joyful effort, is the key to that. And then it's also the key to the Buddha mind, which is dependent on contemplation and wisdom. And so I'll get into explaining that a little bit more, but joyful effort is not about hard work. It's about really enjoying doing good things for other people. And so what I'm going to talk about today is balance and how to have a relaxed mind. And what that means is like to be able to step back from the powerful emotions that sometimes sweep us away, and the emotions that lead us to maybe regretting things we said out of anger, or doing something out of fear and realizing, wow, I wasn't really loving in that moment. I was just doing it out of fear. So the essence of what I'm going to talk about is balance and a relaxed mind. And Venerable Punsak 2 weeks ago, Friday, talked about like relaxed mind is being able to step back from those emotions, learn how to recognize them, and then possibly like use them in a positive way to transform, not only for us, for yourself, but for everybody else. So I like to start with a short meditation too, and Suzanne did such an eloquent job of like explaining how to sit in meditation, so I'm not going to go back over that. Just let's we'll spend a little bit of time on breath, just to get back into that peaceful state. But think about a straight spine, so you're comfortable. This is a meditation that Geshe Michael led in June in Arizona when I went to the Great Retreat Teachings. And it's about reaching balance. And so focus on the breath at the tip of your nose. And just to get to a steady, peaceful state of mind where you can imagine a bright light, like a divine light at the crown of your head. And that's your guide, your Lama, your teacher, a divine being that you look to for guidance. And then ask yourself, how am I feeling? How's my body? How are my hips? Are there any aches or pains in my body? And we're just making note of how our body feels. Not judging it. We're just scanning it and making a mental note. And then ask yourself, how am I feeling today? How am I feeling in this moment? Am I sad? Am I fearful? Am I happy? Am I angry? Be really honest with yourself. And it's not to judge, but just, again, to make a note of how I'm feeling in this moment. And then ask yourself, how's my mind today? The level, the state of my mind. Am I agitated? Am I listing things I have to do in my mind? Or am I a little dull and sleepy? Again, make a mental note. And lastly, how am I in the world at large? And that means, after looking at myself, making a note of my body and my feelings and my mind, what are my experiences, or what I'm feeling, and my state of mind helpful to the world at large in this moment? And again, be really honest with yourself. If there's something that's, yes, it is helpful, then dedicate that all beings may feel the love you feel or the happiness you feel and dedicate that. And on the other hand, if feelings, states of mind came up that aren't so helpful, or aches and pains, imagine transforming that for yourself and every living being that's experiencing that in this moment. What would that look like? What would that feel like? Transform it. That bright light that was at the crown of your head, let that bright light, divine need and love, flow down to your heart center and stay with you. So this idea of just thinking about others and ending suffering for all living beings. You know, it's I started studying all of this about 5 years ago, and when I heard that, I was like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So I'm going to test it. You know, Lama James always says, don't just listen to this and go, you know, like, if you're not happier doing this, then maybe this is not the path for you. And please don't take this just for face value. Like, go out and test it, you know, really test it. And I've done that, and I really have, and the quality of my life has improved drastically. Like, my relationships with my family members are so much better than they ever were. It's amazing. And I just feel better. You know, I'm more upbeat, I have more energy. And so now, it's like, okay, I'm in it, I get it. It works. So now new questions and new challenges have arisen. And so this idea of joyful effort for me, because I've gone now, sometimes I say yes to everything, right? And without going into a whole lot of detail, just professionally, I'm a speech and language pathologist, so I work with kids and help them with their communication. And there happens to be a demand for my specialty area in the city. So my challenge is, how much do you get? And so this idea that I know that it's possible to reach a Buddha body and a Buddha mind in this lifetime. And so that's expanding your capacity and your ability to serve other people. And yet in this, I'm still human. And if I don't get enough sleep, I can get really edgy and agitated and downright nasty sometimes. And some people, Jen, maybe you haven't seen me like that, but some people have. And that's problematic. It really is. Because what happens is then it's like going against all the patience. You know, it's losing patience. not living an ethical life because like getting really angry and upset. And so what I've really been aiming for is how can I continue to expand this capacity so I can in this lifetime have this light body and have superhero powers and yet, you know, recognize I'm ordinary still and I have human needs. And so what I'd like to do is just, I think now, let's look at the verses, and the key really is to remember that joyful effort is not about working hard. And so to read the first verse, chapter 7, verse 32, is eliminate then what acts against us. Work hard to use the various forces of will, confidence, joy, and also leading off and being engaged in the feeling of self-command in order to increase your capacity for effort. So, you know, the idea of will is just a strong aspiration for giving up things that aren't so helpful in this, you know, like aren't helping us become more enlightened. You know, and it might be things like watching too much TV or sleeping too much or, you know, certain activities that you just know. I mean, for me, it was like I used to love to drink a lot of wine, you know. That's so good for getting enlightened. But that was my life. So, so it's like, okay, you know, at some point, it took me a while, but it's like, okay, yeah, it's not really helping in the big picture. And then steadfastness and confidence is like, you know, how can we analyze? It says here, learn not to engage unexamined in just any activity that presents itself, but rather to analyze the activity first, then engage in it, and finally to bring it to successful conclusion. So that's the way steadfastness and confidence is described. So this idea of really before we make a decision to do something, really be discerning about it. And I've had to learn that. Like, I can't say yes to everybody. Or I have to be creative about how I do this. Maybe it's not me that has to do this job. Maybe I hire somebody who I then teach to do this job, you know? So it's like, let's be really creative, not to say, no, I can't do it, I'm overworked. Because that could be me sometimes in the past. And it's like, oh, I want to do this for you. I can't say yes right now. So let's be discerning about how we do things. And also, this relates follow through, which I just learned last night is related, it's an antidote for depression if you struggle with depression. In my family, depression, women have been depressed in my family. And it's following through with what you say you're going to do is an antidote for depression. So that was very interesting to me learning that. Joy, the third force in this verse is joy, where we put forth you know, the effort it takes, but we should be like a child playing a game. So imagine being able to approach your work like a child playing a game, you know? I mean, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. It's like, yeah, joy. I actually really love my work, but I don't act like it sometimes. I get a little whiny, you know? And Lama Marut, he told us a story about in India, he was so overwhelmed by all the beggars in India. And he asked a family, how do I deal with the beggars? And they said, well, we take one, we choose one, and we support that person. And so then he said, you know, when he got back to the States and he found himself getting whiny about little things, he imagined talking to his beggar, the guy he supported, about what was bothering him. And very quickly he realized this isn't much. Like, you're living on $1.50 a day, and I'm whining about, like, it's raining outside, or I didn't have, I didn't get enough sleep. Like, I got 5 hours of sleep, or, so it's all relative. So, and then leaving off is after you've worked really hard, making sure that you refresh yourself, making sure you take time to do the things you love to do. And last year especially, I had a really rough year, and I would skip yoga. I'd skip exercise, say, I can just exercise once this week. And I thrive on exercise, but I do it now with a very clear dedication. When I go to exercise, I love it, but I'm also exercising for my sister who has multiple sclerosis and everybody else who can't walk. May they walk. May the person who has cancer heal. May we come up with a cure for cancer. And every time I run, I'm like running for a cure for cancer. And so it can be that powerful, so, but leaving off is really important. I mean, making sure you sleep, maybe not too much, but get enough sleep so you feel good. Okay, so let's see. So this, I'm going to be honest. The middle verse, I'm going to have a hard time analyzing. It's more the last verse that I really. So I'll read the middle verse here, verse 46 and 47, chapter 7, verse 46 and 47. But I'm going to focus on the last one. So one should therefore be preoccupied with the attraction towards virtue, cultivating it zealously, utilize the technique described in the Diamond Victory banner to practice the confidence once one has begun. At the very beginning, appraise yourself to see if you have the resources needed, and then decide to act or not. The very highest thing you could do would be not even to start a thing, but once you have begun, then never allow yourself to stop. So, again, I guess I'm relating this to, it's a challenge. Ema and I talked about this. It's like, it's really hard some days to follow through with what you say you're going to do. And so, one thing I'm trying to get much better at is, like, not, if I have some hesitation, if I have a little bit of doubt, like I'm too busy right now, I can't do this, just to say I'm going to have to get back to you, like be really careful about the words you choose when you tell someone you're going to do something, or you make a decision to help someone, and just so that you can follow through and be really consistent about that. And if you can't, to be, it's a process, to also forgive yourself and realize, okay, I'll do better next time, but it's something that I've gotten better at, and I'll be honest, it also helps to just kind of check in with yourself. We won't go into this, but there's something called the 6 Times a Day book, where you kind of look at vows, and I do that to just check in with myself, like, how am I doing? Am I following through with my commitments? Am I being honest? Those kinds of things. So, let me see. I feel like I'm kind of skipping all over the place. So, okay. So, again, this idea of joyful effort is the key to getting enlightened. And so the obstacles to it are laziness, attraction to bad deeds, and low self-esteem. So as I've been studying, I just learned that. And, so I know that one thing with doubts, because doubts were coming up for me a lot just in life in general. I didn't realize it until someone brought it to my attention. And it sounds like you have a lot of doubt. And the antidote for doubt is gratitude. So you wake up every day and think of 5 things that you're thankful for. Even if it's just the soft bed you're laying in, Like, think of 5 things. I'm so happy that I have these 5 things. I have my coffee. I have a beautiful apartment. I love my family. So it's whatever it is for you. And then throughout the day, try to remind yourself to be thankful. Be thankful. And that can really be a powerful way of turning any doubt you have. So I guess the last thing would be, again, just coming full circle, because I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. We just come back full circle to the meditation that we did. And so when powerful emotions come up, and when it's like too late, you're in it, it's like, I'm really angry right now. And I don't like that I'm angry, I'm aware that I'm angry, but I'm angry. And so in that moment, try to transform it. Even if it's a split second that you think, I don't like this, and I don't want it for anybody else either. So I'm going to transform it, and that's my wish right now in this moment, that I'm transforming it for myself and everybody who feels this. And that we learn to just chill out. Or just have patience. And that can be really, really powerful, really a loving act. And then maybe eventually we can catch ourselves before we're swept away by it. So that's pretty much it. So thank you all for coming. So we were going to open it up for questions. Does anybody have questions at all, or?
You brought up something that I've been thinking about a lot, which is that when your job that you get paid for involves service, I sometimes also find like the line hard to find or hard to cross. I look at people whose jobs don't ostensibly involve service, and they find all these amazing opportunities to serve. And I think that sometimes I kind of cheat myself with some of the I spend all day doing that, and so I don't even give myself the opportunity to even look for other ways to serve. So it's not really a question.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you I feel the same way, that it's like my whole life is that, right? And so, but that's a beautiful thing, really. It's kind of goes back to who said New Yorkers have so much opportunity to become enlightened.
Lamas.
Oh, okay. Nancy did an interpretation of the
Oh my God.
She's amazing. That was hilarious. But,
the New Yorkers, that we would be enlightened very fast because we have opportunity to practice all the time.
Yeah. So even if you get paid for serving others, you can still be generous within that. And also, then you're on the subway, and it's constant, right? So rejoice in that. That's beautiful. That's a blessing. Yeah.
For positive words for someone who, yes, maybe has feels the need to be accepted all the time. When you meet somebody or you're talking with a person or a particular group of people, you always feel the need to always have something to say. Laugh at a joke that might not be funny at all, or just kind of not, just to learn how to just be yourself. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's so hard to do that.
Yeah. I have ideas too. I think the biggest thing is the idea of love. I definitely find myself being concerned about how my actions will be perceived. But if I really think that's a form of fear, and the opposite of fear is love. And so if we just love and Suzanne, you said it so nicely in your meditation, there's a person in front of you that you barely know. And you say, I know I barely know you, but I adore you. I love this quality about you. And then you're giving, and you're not concerned about how it's coming back at you. And I think that just builds this confidence and this openness that is an upward spiral.
I just wanted to add something to that. I would say trust in your own sincerity. Because if you're sincere, and someone, because I think part of the fear of trying to laugh or trying to, trying too hard in a social situation is because maybe you're worried that someone's going to judge you, or you're going to be left out or something. So if you're sincere, if someone isn't nice to you for some reason, and you know that it's not your fault, so there's nothing to really be afraid of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice answer. Yeah. I would also say that the attention you seek is probably the same attention other people seek. So you can try to think of something good about them or shine the attention on them, and maybe you'll see your attention for yourself starts to lessen. I'm not sure. Or maybe you're just an actor, comedian.
But he is. So funny.
I had a question that made me think of this whole idea of karma that I hear so much about, and sometimes I get it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, sometimes I don't get it. So tonight when you said that the antidote to doubt was gratitude, it was like, oh shit, that's my problem. But then there are other things that I'm like, wait, I don't see a connection. I don't see it. So I've always wondered, how did you guys figure out, what the cause was? Did someone just tell you, or how did you meditate on that? Where? Because if I knew the causes for some of the things, I would change it. But I don't get it, And even sometimes they tell me that this is the cause, and I'm like, let me share something. So I was just wondering if you guys could talk a little bit more about karma, or how you even figure it out.
Lama Maru, he's like our go-to man for that stuff. They say the laws of karma, they're so deeply hidden. That's probably the last thing you figure out, right before you're Buddha or whatever. So it is hard. We are so lucky to have amazing teachers who have had insights, who can share those things. And it's and when you study, you obviously have an incredible amount of virtue that you've heard karmic correlations, you're ready to hear them, and you can understand how they work. you know, and that's,
Some of them, not most.
yeah, of course, you know, and these things have like this way of revealing themselves to you too, you know, and it's something you're working on, like dedicating whatever you're doing to being like, what the hell is holding back? Like my thing, like my correlation with my story, the pain of the breakup and rejoicing, I'm like, oh my God, you know, that was the thing, and it flipped and it transformed me, it transformed him. So, you know, like just stick with it earnestly and just kind of ask for the teaching, and it is pretty cool to at least have some ideas about those karmic correlations. It's so valuable, it's so amazing, you know. So
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes we do have the answer, but it's deep in there. So if you can, it has happened to me occasionally where I really wanted to know the answer, and I'm like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this, you know. And I mean, I usually go to teachers, but when teachers are in silent retreat, it's like, okay, this is all me now. So then meditating on it, and really just keep like asking the question in your meditation and see what comes up. And you might be, you know, really surprised, like, oh wow, you get some insights. Yeah.
I want to say that there's a whole course on karma, and it's an ACI course, so you can learn all about karma and the workings of karma, and the rules of karma. A good cause is a good result. A bad cause is a bad result. If you don't do anything, you don't get a result, and the seed, what you plant will grow. So deeds, whether good or bad, will ripen. And then there's four powers on how to purify karma. And then also there are lists of correlations, because the Buddhas have seen the inner workings of karma, and there are correlations. And there's, like Lama Maru, Jenny said, he's compiled a whole list of karmic correlations, and you can find some of those things online.
You can also find it on the Diamond Cutter Institute website, and there's a whole list of karmic correlations for things. But I was just going to add that it's what Sherry said, just meditating on it for a while. And I'd like to make it into a game like this. It's really kind of fun, like just knowing that the answer is there, but right now you don't have maybe the karma to find it, and like so you just kind of like keep you just keep opening it up and seeing like what is it really that's bothering you. Sometimes you don't always know what actually what the illness is that we're really trying to solve. I know that for relationships, that's always like you don't really know what the problem is. So just kind of, and the wish is so powerful. Just to want to figure it out. It's like keeps you on the right track. It brings you great teachers.
Thank you. I have to say thank you 1,000 million times.
I think the love that you have for your teacher, Mama was like so beautiful. Jenny talked about it all the time. And she's in silent retreat, like you said. And as I think about taking on a teacher, there is like part of me that's a little bit scared that they're gonna like, you know, go away and like go on a retreat or like, you know, something like that. And I just wanted to know how you stay connected to your teacher and how you still are able to have her in here every day. I would love to hear your ideas and what you think is
Go first.
Go ahead, John. I mean, I really see it as like they went away from me, you know, like that's why they went away. They taught us, like, oh my God, for years, just every week, they taught us everything. They poured everything into us. And, it's nice having the Lama in the physical form, or to even call up if something happens. And, they did it for me, they went away for me. So it's time for me to kind of rely on the Lama inside of me, realize that that's where it's coming from. The outside Lama, it's in here. And we're all